This is ESPN Radio 102.7 and 1450 WWKU, Plum Springs and Bowling Green's ESPN Radio.
Kentucky's Great Outdoors on ESPN 102.7 FM and 104 The Score. Brought to you by Bowling Green Refrigeration, Heating and Cooling and Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center with your host Brian Webb. Also starring John Kirby and Sergeant J.D. Williams from Mohawk Outdoors. Josh Honeycutt from Realtree Outdoors. Also made possible by Swagger Bipods. Gary Force Paint and Body Shop. J&K Used Cars on the Bypass. Segments in part by Big & J Long Range Attractants, our national sponsor, and Renegade Marine. Also featuring Realtree's Michael Penley Small Game Recipes from Realtree Outdoors. Timber 2 Table Wild Game Recipes. Sponsored by Tetra Hearing Devices. Get your edge back and hear the hunt. And all phone interviews via the Line X of Bowling Green hotline. Get ready for all things outdoors. Here's your host, Brian Webb.
Welcome back. Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors, ESPN 102.7 WWKU, WCDS up there. 104 The Score in Glasgow. Got your ears on. Hope Bay and River Lakes kicking it up, and people are starting to fish a little bit. No tournaments, though. We'll talk to John Newton, Renegade Marine, and Outdoor Center fishing segment. He's going to give us the lowdown. It was like, John, they were like, okay, tournaments can go. Oh, well, no, we're not going to do it. I mean, it's frustrating, but I mean, it's the time we're living in. So,
yeah, I'm sure that is frustrating. They were all raring to go, but like you said, man, what can you do? You got to follow the orders, so to speak.
You got to adhere. And speaking of hearing, Tetra hearing devices, Tetra Hear the Hunt. Get your edge back. Go to tetrahunt.com. Take that hearing test. John, I think you might have done that or going to be doing it soon.
Yeah, I meant to do it last night and got the sidetrack sharpening some knives, Webb, so I'm going to do it tonight when I get home. But
there you go, knock it out.
I don't want to. I'm kind of hesitant to do it. I don't want to know how bad my hearing is. I know it's not that great.
Yeah, that's like when you go to the
doctor. It's like going to the doctor, exactly.
And you're like, oh man, I hope he doesn't tell me anything bad.
Yeah, I do not do well with doctors.
Well, you got to eat right for one thing, and this guy eats right because he eats off the land. Michael Penley, Timber to Table, brought to you by tetrahunt.com. What's up, Mike, on the Line X hotline?
How's it going, guys?
Dude, we couldn't be better. We're upright. That's a good start to every day.
Yes, it is.
Penley, I want to just say, dude, how jacked up was Pot Roast to draw that tag, man.
Congrats, man.
That's not. That's probably the
lottery.
best.
I mean,
if I could pick a tag, it would be that one too.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true. I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
How jacked up was he, Michael?
So here's the deal: we didn't even watch the draw.
Oh, did you not?
Because I've been putting in for 20 straight years now.
Me too.
And I've not gotten drawn, and
right.
Hunter and Cheryl have put in for 10 straight years, and Michaela and Pot Roast for 6 or 7 now. And I pretty much just gave up on ever getting drawn.
Right.
And all of a sudden, my phone starts blowing up. And
did you have an inkling of what was going on when your phone started blowing up?
Well, yeah, when it started blowing up, just all of a sudden I started getting messages, I started getting texts, and I realized pretty quick that something was going on. And I had one buddy said, well, one of you got drawn, and another buddy texted, congratulations, Pot Roast. And I figured it out pretty quick that he had got drawn, and come to find out it was an either-sex archery tag. Talked to our buddy Nate. He's going to be helping us out. Hopefully getting us on some elk. We're going to be down there this summer scouting and looking and lining up a spot to hunt, and hopefully it works out.
Man, that's awesome. I'm so glad he drew, Michael.
I am too. He is. He's been out shooting his bow every day since. I mean, he already shot quite a bit.
Yeah.
But he's already talking about, he's got to extend his distance a little bit, and he wants to crank up his weight a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's already talking about what new gear he wants to buy.
Absolutely.
or wants me to buy.
Yeah.
But he is excited, and I'm excited for him, and I honestly can't wait.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked, and I'm excited too to kind of hear how Pot Roast takes on the challenge of switching up that gear a little bit. It'll be interesting to see, what broadhead he picks. If he picks a different arrow with a little more weight behind it, it'll be cool to kind of see that evolution.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about now. He's shooting about 60 pounds now at 29.
Which is plenty. Yep.
And I think we're going to bump that up to about 65, 67 by the time season rolls in. And he's already talking about heads. He wants to go with a 125 grain fixed blade head.
Yeah, I'd go single bevel fixed like you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And we're looking at we're trying to build an arrow right around 550 grain.
Yep.
Fairly heavy, and try to get some momentum behind it, and hopefully it'll get the job done.
Well, I'm excited to hear about it. Like we said, the progression of it and all, and we've got a long time to talk it up before it happens. It's a few months out. Right now, we know we got something on the grill, I'm sure.
I hope it's these turkey heart stuffed jalapenos.
It is. I always talk about turkey legs and turkey thighs and how, too many people leave them behind. But there's some other parts of turkey that are pretty good, too, and heart is one of our favorites. We'll marinate them. A lot of times we'll cook them on the shish kebab. We'll wrap them in bacon like a dove popper and grill them. But this week we marinated them. Actually, we started by cutting them in half. A turkey heart, especially out of big gobbler, is pretty good size. So we cut the big ones into halves, or even if it's a really big one, we'll quarter it up. And we marinate that overnight in a mixture of soy sauce and a little Worcestershire and some lime juice, some honey, and let those sit overnight in the fridge. And then we'll use them to stuff some jalapenos. We'll take some big jalapenos and kind of core them out, get the seeds, get those veins and ribs out of there. That's where most of the heat is, unless you really like the heat, in which case just leave them in there. And we'll shove a piece of that marinated turkey heart down in there. And then we take some cream cheese, softened cream cheese. We'll blend some Parmesan into it, some chives, some oregano, a little bit of dried parsley, some garlic, a little pepper, and blend all that into that cream cheese, and then put it in a gallon Ziploc bag and cut one little corner off of it and squeeze that. Use that to pipe that cream cheese mixture into the pepper to fill it completely up that way. You can put it in there with a spoon, but you never get it all the way down to the bottom. And if you'll use that bag and squeeze it in there like that, like a tube of toothpaste, it'll start at the bottom and fill all the way to the top that way.
You can even do that with like a Ziploc bag, right, Michael? Kind of cut the end off.
I mean, Michaela's got all the fancy cake bags and everything,
right.
But you got to clean all those. So I just use a Ziploc bag and throw it away when I'm done.
Exactly.
Then you wrap the whole thing in bacon. We use a fairly thick bacon on this one and let it cook for a long time so that pepper gets nice and soft. And if you've got one of those jalapeno popper racks where it holds it upright, that kind of keeps your cheese from dripping out while they cook. And once that bacon's done, they're ready to go.
Hey, Michael, is this basically jalapeno on a stick?
On a stick. I believe we made that comment when I stuck a toothpick in the bacon. I believe somebody even mentioned jalapeno on a stick.
That's awesome. Hey, Michael, I'd love to in the next coming weeks, man, get you on after the Timber to Table segment and do a little segment on knives. I think knives are neglected by a lot of hunters, including myself. Just kind of talk about knife maintenance and how critical that is. And I'm sure as a chef, you probably see this a lot, but kitchen knives, I mean, those are some of the most neglected knives out there, right?
Absolutely. I cannot stand to pick up a dull kitchen knife.
Right.
A chef's knife or a paring knife. I want it to be razor sharp. I don't want to have to put, extra effort into making a nice clean cut. Dull knives will get you hurt in a hurry in the kitchen. A sharp knife is a much easier knife to use. You're less likely to cut yourself with it. And That's why I always carry knives with me when I travel. If I'm going to be cooking somewhere, I carry my knife roll with me so that I'll know, number one, that they're sharp, and number two, that I'm familiar with the handle, and I don't have to stop and think about what I'm doing with them. So,
well, Johnny's a connoisseur of the old knives.
I'm in the rabbit hole, Michael, of knives and sharpening knives. I really kind of jumped in this rabbit hole about it and kind of learning about all the different metals and how, there's just you can't sharpen every knife the same way. It depends on the metal it's made out of, and it depends on a lot of factors. And I'm really in that rabbit hole right now.
Hey, before you guys go, I want to know each of you what's each of your favorite knife. Like it's Christmas Eve and you want Santa to bring it. Which one would you pick, John?
Man, I would go with a Winkler. They're out of North Carolina. He's a master bladesmith. He's actually doing a lot of collaborations with Jason Knight, who was on Forged in Fire. And I actually got one of their collaborations, and it's probably my favorite knife, but I love Winkler knives.
That's awesome. What about you, Penley?
Sweet. I've got a couple of custom knife makers up here. Bear Fork Knives out of Eastern Kentucky, and Chris Smith out of, he's close to Lexington up here. And they both make some really nice knives. I've got some kitchen knives and stuff. And, if I was going to pick an off-the-shelf knife, there are some really nice Japanese kitchen knives out there that I'd really like to have. So
yeah.
I'm kind of eyeballing a couple of those, too.
You can spend some money quick on knives, can't you, Michael?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Some of the kitchen knives I've looked at, they're $1,200, $1,500 each.
Yeah.
I don't know about everybody else, but that's a lot to pay for.
Absolutely.
That's good money right there. Hey, buddy, maybe next week are we going to do Old Bart cubed elk Philly cheese steaks, or are we going to do something different, you think?
To be honest, I've not even looked ahead to see what we've got scheduled for next Wednesday, but it could be that one. That was a good one.
That looks good.
Old Bart Lights, he's an Instagram chef, posts a lot of wild game, posts a lot of barbecue, and he's pitching in with a couple of timber-to-table recipes, and that's one of his favorites, and I'll be honest, it looked really good. So
yeah, it does. That looks like a Penley deal right there. Well, man, listen, we appreciate you, Tetra Hunt, and John's getting ready to get a set of these ears, and here soon we'll get you a set up there as well, Michael, and you guys can try these things out and give us some good feedback.
That's awesome. I've kind of been toying with the idea of trying their hearing test, but I'm kind of like him. I'm a little nervous to find out what I'm not hearing.
Right, or what you won't hear. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you will hear Timber to Table weekly on Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors.
That's right.
At MickeyPenn_70 on Twitter. What's up, buddy? Listen, hey, have a good weekend, and hope you guys have a good one. We'll talk to you next Wednesday, brother.
Sounds good, guys.
All
Thanks,
right,
Michael.
We're shutting down the Line X hotline for just a minute because when we come back, we're going to have John Newton, Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center fishing segment coming up on Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors, ESPN 102.7.
If your business needs to cool, chill, or freeze, or warm, heat, or cook, you know you can't afford to disappoint. That's why you call BG Refrigeration, because BG Refrigeration never disappoints. They satisfy any heating or cooling need your business may have. Factories, restaurants, malls, plants, big industrial warehouses, doesn't matter. BG Refrigeration is who you call. Commercial heating and ducts, AC maintenance and replacement, commercial refrigeration, restaurant equipment, cold storage warehouses. BG Refrigeration ensures your heating and cooling needs are met so your business doesn't suffer. Walk-in freezers, exhaust systems, pizza ovens, ice makers, whatever heats or cools. If it's restaurant related, BG Refrigeration is, by far, the best company in South Central Kentucky to service them. In fact, there are a few companies that can or will even try to do what BG Refrigeration does every day. They're the company that's called in for the big jobs that require more experience, that need to be done right the first time. Why would you trust your business's commercial heating and cooling needs to anyone else? Turn to the experts. Call BG Refrigeration at 270-782-5391, where your comfort is their concern.
The showroom and lot at Renegade Marine are open and packed with inventory. They want to see you on the water with a smile. Shop their inventory online anytime at renegademarine.net or come see their selection in person to find that perfect boat that you just can't live without. They're open regular hours and taking all CDC recommended precautions to keep you and their staff healthy and safe. Need parts or service? Renegade has you covered. Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center, just off the Western Kentucky Parkway, exit 107, Litchfield.
Although hunting to most of us is much more than just harvesting animals, why not better your deer herd's health with Big & J Long Range Attractant? Big & J is highly digestible, high in protein, and isn't full of preservatives. With Big & J Long Range Attractants, you're not only exploiting one of the few weaknesses whitetails have, their stomachs, but you're maximizing antler growth, improving overall herd health, and pulling deer from your neighbor's property. So whether your goals are to fill the freezer, kill mature bucks, or both, Big & J Long Range Attractants will stack the odds in your favor, all the while making your deer herd bigger and healthier.
Can you hear the hunt? You will with Tetra. Designed by hearing doctors and avid hunters, Tetra offers premium hearing enhancement and protection. Programmed for your specific hearing loss. Pinpoint turkeys gobbling, the big bucks slipping behind you, or protect your ears in the duck blind. If you want your edge back, try Tetra risk-free for 30 days. Call now and mention SportsWeb and receive $100 off your order. 615-618-9904 or anytime at TetraHunt.com. Tetra isn't just hearing protection, it's hearing perfection.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
It's time to go fishing with Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center, 415 Commerce Drive, Litchfield, Kentucky, on SOKY's Great Outdoors.
Welcome back, everybody. Got him on the Linex hotline, Linex Bedliners, Bowling Green. Roger Gina Cowan over there, Louisville Road, Porter Pike. Get the bed of that truck taken care of. And we may not have tournaments right away, but you can do some business at our sponsor, Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center, Litchfield, Kentucky, 415 Commerce Drive up there, right off the Parkway. What's up, John Newton?
What's going on, Brian Webb? How you doing?
Buddy, me and John Kirby, Casey Warner sitting here enjoying life and being happy that we're vertical. But, man, I'll tell you, I'd love to be catching a big old fish right now, and I'd like to be fishing a tournament. Tell us about the ups and downs of this roller coaster of tournament fishing around here in our local bodies of water.
Well, I mean, we've had some ups and downs. We've been, following the guidelines, not doing any tournaments. Some of our out-of-state brethren have chosen not to do that. We were over at West River Sunday playing around, me and Trenton Godby and Scott Robbins, just having a fun-filled day, catching some pretty good fish. Trenton got the booby prize for big fish and the booby prize for small fish today. But there was a tournament out of Indiana, about 30 boats over at Rucker State Park one Sunday.
I like when there's a prize for small fish. I feel like I got a chance. So you're saying there's a chance, Webb?
There's always a chance. There is a tournament when it does get started back up. A lot of guys like to fish. It's a little Tuesday nighter over at West Louisville. They do a big fish and small fish. So not only are you trying to catch that one big monster, but you're trying to catch the littlest keeper that you can catch. It's 12 inches.
Sounds like fun.
Absolutely. Like I said, you're saying there's a chance with the small fish for me. What's going on at Renegade Marine, John Newton?
We are running wide open. I mean, wide open.
Good.
Boats are flying off the shelves. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there listening and you're looking for a Ranger aluminum boat, I'm very limited to what I've got. If you're looking for a tri-tune or pontoon, we're starting to get down to the nitty-gritty on what boats we do have in stock. Memorial Day has not, and the COVID-19 has not stopped anybody from getting their boats ready for Memorial Day weekend. I mean, the boats are flying off shelves up here right now.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
John, how have you seen interest rates fluctuate over the last couple of months with this COVID-19?
That's a great question.
Well, the interest rates really, they did an upcline, and then they dropped a little, and they went back up a little. But anybody that's got a good credit score, average rate we've been seeing has been right around 5.24 to right around 5.75. So, I mean, the interest rates are still good on boats. If you're at 800 plus, you can get a little better. If you're a little under 750, you're going to be in that 5.75 to around 6.5%, which is still not a bad rate.
Oh, that's great, man. I mean, I might even have to talk to the wife about that.
There you go.
She's probably listening. She'll be texting me here in a minute. John, let's talk a little bit about what is the future for USA Bassin and Renegade Marine Tour. I mean, what's going on with that?
Well, we're going to have to do some modifications on the Renegade. Any of you guys out there that fish with us, and you can hear me over the radio, we're not going to do any makeup tournaments because there's just not enough weekends in the day to do it. So we've got 2 tournaments left on the Renegade. We've got one, I believe it's on June 7th, and then we've got one in June. It's either the 18th or 21st. So I'm not sitting here looking at a schedule, but they can come out and fish those last 2 tournaments with us. They're going to qualify for Classic. One of the things that we have changed, normally our Classic in the Renegade, we do a $100 entry and $10 a day, big optional big fish. So what we're going to do, we're going to raise the Classic entry up to $200, so that way it will cover the prize money, make it well worth the while to go along with the boats that we're going to have to give away at this Classic. So we're just we're going to try to limp through this season to see what 2021 is going to hold for us.
Yeah, well, you guys have, like a lot of businesses and a lot of organizations, whether it be bass tournaments or anything else, have really weathered this storm great, because it's been a roller coaster, John, and I know it has been for you all. We all have certain things that we have to tend to, and you guys got a big thing on your plate there with putting on those tournaments. So much logistics that go into that, people just do not understand. And man, hats off to you and to Sherbert and the team, and being able to weather this and do your thing. It just shows how strong that business is, and the team that helps pull the cart, and that's definitely you guys up there. But any good specials before we go? And have you heard any good fishing stories? I mean, is anybody, No Land, do anything, or have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, No Land's actually producing a little bit better. I went, like I said, this past Sunday with Trenton and Scott to Russ. We had probably somewhere between 13, 14 pounds, which is not a bad day. Caught a lot of 14-inch fish. The big keeper fish just wasn't there. The week before, I went to No Land and really put I would call a hammer in on them. I had right at 17 and a half pounds, and only fished for about 4 hours. So, I mean, the fish, they're still in every transition you can think of. You've got some that are still spawning, you've got some that are done spawning, and you've got some that are moving up to spawn. So, I mean, it's pretty much anything you want to throw or any way you want to catch them, you can catch them.
I've seen this. We've seen it, John, in like smog in cities like Las Vegas. It looks clear. Bodies of water looking, less traffic, less pressure. Is No Land? Are you seeing that up there? Is it nice? Does it look great? I bet it looks unbelievable because it hadn't had a ton of traffic.
Oh, you'd be surprised how much traffic that lake has had, boy.
Good.
Yeah, even with Barron being a mess right now.
Yeah, I mean, Barron's probably still one of the worst lakes in the area.
It is.
Not for fishing, but because the
water
water's
level
still so high.
Exactly.
I've talked to some guys that's been over the Green River, and they're sniping over at Green. I mean, they're catching 22, 23, 24-pound bags over at Green River just left and right.
Nice.
But the water level's right. The water level at No Land is still fluctuating up and down, but Barron's still, I'm going to say Barron's probably the stepchild of the lakes around here because, it's still, 15, 16 foot over summer pool. So, with that, most of the guys that normally would fish Barron are not fishing Barron. They're going to No Land or they're going to Green. So, on any given Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, it doesn't matter which boat ramp you go to, they're jam-packed. They look like sardines.
Everybody want to get out of the house, man. I get it.
With this COVID going on, nobody wants to stay at home all the time. So, these guys are getting out and they're going fishing. They're taking their buddy and having a good time, which I don't blame them. If I had a day off, that's what I'd be doing.
You ain't kidding, man. I'd love to. I'd like to fish the rest of the year and just get a paycheck in the mailbox.
Yeah.
I might actually get decent at it. Last question for you, man, before I let you go, John. Let's take a guy like me who lives in his means. If a guy had about $30,000 and wanted a good boat, at that 6% interest there, great interest rate, what do you got on the lot for a guy like me?
Well, on something like that, you can get into a Ranger RT-188 aluminum, foam-filled boat, 115 horsepower motor. You can get into one of those for around there. 18-foot Titan with a 115. For a little bit more, you can get into a 19-footer with 150. So, I mean, there's,
love that.
Your aluminum range, if you're in that 30 range to about 34, 35, the aluminum's the best way to go.
I like it.
And, we've seen more and more this year, more guys coming out of the big glass boats that had fish tournaments their whole life, but they're not going to Kentucky Lake and Barkley or traveling to Gunnersville. They're staying more no-land, rough, barren, green. So, they're like, well, I don't need a 21-foot boat for these lakes. So they're coming in, buying 19-footers with 150s and rigging them out just like it's a 21-footer and enjoying them.
I love it, man. We love what you guys do, man. We stand behind you passionately, and keep it up, and be glad to get back into some of these tournaments, man. I know Dad's about to lose it, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, I talked to Johnny Russell this morning, and he said your dad was out there on no land today hunting for some fish.
Well, he didn't call me. I don't know. which would be out of the ordinary if he did. John Newton, always a pleasure, man. Tell Sherb, Linda, Duke, everybody we love them, and I'll get up and see you guys soon, and glad things are rolling and starting towards some normalcy, buddy.
Well, Brian, y'all be careful, and we'll talk to y'all later.
Very soon. RenegadeMarine.net. If you're at home in your boxers and looking for a boat, just jump right on there and look at the inventory. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back with Realtree's Josh Honeycutt. John Kirby going to lay it down for us here on SOKY's Great Outdoors during the Big and J Swagger Bipod Hunting segment. Coming up next, SOKY's Great Outdoors 102.7.
J&K Used Cars is the place to go when you need a quality automobile at an affordable price. Stop in at 670 on the Bypass in Bowling Green and see this week's special. A 2011 Chevy Avalanche. Four-wheel drive comes with LP package, leather interior, good miles, sport wheels, power options, V8 engine, and more. Only $17,995. Hurry in because at that price it won't last long. J&K Used Cars with over 40 years of serving the community with affordable prices on quality automobiles. Visit J&K on the Bypass and online at jnkusedcars.com.
Although hunting to most of us is much more than just harvesting animals, why not better your deer herd's health with Big & J Long Range Attractant? Big & J is highly digestible, high in protein, and isn't full of preservatives. With Big & J Long Range Attractants, you're not only exploiting one of the few weaknesses whitetails have, their stomachs, but you're maximizing antler growth, improving overall herd health, and pulling deer from your neighbor's property. So whether your goals are to fill the freezer, kill mature bucks, or both, Big & J Long Range Attractants will stack the odds in your favor, all the while making your deer herd bigger and healthier.
When Poston Electronics opened in Bowling Green back in 1974, it sounded more like this.
Turn it up, man!
Now Poston is as legendary as the artists Southern Kentuckians hummed through the speakers they've bought there for the last 45 years. Poston is everything audio with top brands like JP Audio and Alpine. From home theaters, boats, motorcycles, side-by-sides, custom work, installation, service, or sales, Poston still has the sound. Turn it up, man. Poston Electronics, across from Firestone on Broadway Avenue.
Not all spray-in is created equal. For example, spray-in honey. Why are all these bees following me? Or maybe spray-in tanning.
Hey, you missed a spot there on your face. Oh, that's bad.
See Line-X of Bowling Green for spray-in bed liners and Line-X truck gear. It's the next level of complete tough gear for your truck. B&W gooseneck hitches, toolboxes, step bars, and WeatherTech doormats. Gift cards now available. Easy, affordable, and rugged. Line-X. Check out more at linexofbowlinggreen.com.
Whether it's fresh chopped toppings, homemade sauce, or fresh dough made daily, Jet's Pizza goes the distance. But now Jet's is going the social distance with contactless delivery. Order and pay online at jetspizza.com. Then choose contactless delivery. A Jet's driver drops your delicious pizza off at your door, rings your bell, then waits from their car until you pick up the deliciousness. It's Detroit-style delivery at a distance. Jet's Pizza, pickup available in front of Target and Lowe's on Campbell Lane. And new contactless delivery at jetspizza.com.
Do you want a barrel rest or do you want to shoot with swagger? Expand your shooting zone with Swagger, the all-terrain hunter's bipod. After more than 100 years, finally shooters have a bipod with patented, flexible, hyper-extending, telescoping legs that give you agility like never before. Get rid of those stiff legs and get the bipod with infinite maneuverability. Swagger, the bipod that moves. Shoot with confidence, shoot with Swagger. Lifetime warranty, swaggerbipod.com.
Gary Force Paint and Body Shop stands with Southern Kentucky in this pandemic because they know if you've ever driven in Bowling Green, you can survive anything. A natural name change? I just don't see a one there. It's just I-6, an entire Fountain Square renovation. Oh, there's a spot. Park over there. And, of course, the roundabout.
Hey, I think I finally got this whole roundabout thing down.
We made it through that, and we'll make it through this. Together. Gary Force Paint and Body Shop. Bowling Green's iCar Gold Certified Body Shop that works with all major insurance. Behind the post office on Vanderbilt Drive.
The showroom and lot at Renegade Marine are open and packed with inventory. They want to see you on the water with a smile. Shop their inventory online anytime at renegademarine.net or come see their selection in person to find that perfect boat that you just can't live without. They're open regular hours and taking all CDC recommended precautions to keep you and their staff healthy and safe. Need parts or service? Renegade has you covered. Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center, just off the Western Kentucky Parkway, exit 107 Litchfield.
Welcome back. SOKY's Great Outdoors on ESPN Radio. Got Josh Honeycutt on the Linex hotline. Him and John Kirby going to get it down right here. What's up, boys?
What's going on, Josh? Can you hear us, buddy?
Yeah, how are you guys doing?
Doing good, man. I'm looking forward to switching gears here a little bit. Love turkey hunting, but I'm ready to start talking some deer hunting. What about you?
Yeah, I hear that.
We, man, like we talked about off air last week, we're just going to kind of talk some summer preparation, just some things that a hunter could do to help stack the odds. If that's good with you, Josh, we'll just kind of go back and forth, take turns, giving a few examples of what you can do to help stack the odds in your favor.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, man, I'll start it off here. And these aren't in any particular order, not in an order of importance or chronological order. They're just some things I'll do throughout the summer. And first off is taking inventory of the deer herd. That goes for both bucks and does. But what it really boils down to is I want to know what deer I'm going to be chasing come fall, so I can put some game plans and strategies together to kill that deer. What about you, Josh? What's first up for you, man?
Yeah, that's a big part of what I do, and one of the ways that I like to do that is putting out mineral licks. And, I'll post trail cameras over mineral licks, and, I'll start that in early June and roll through the summer and into the beginning of the season. But something I'm doing right now, personally, is I'm getting ready to, even though I'm a little bit late on it, just between work and life, but I need to get a lot of tree stand work done. I have about 5 or 6 tree stands that need to be moved. I have about 5 or 6 new tree stands that need to be hung. Some shooting lanes to cut, even though I don't really cut many shooting lanes this time of year. I usually do that for existing tree stands during the early off season, and whenever it's wintertime and the leaves are off the trees, and you have a better indication of what those shooting lanes actually look like during hunting season.
Exactly.
But for new stands, I'll definitely still cut some shooting lanes, especially since most of the stands that I hang, they'll be early season spots, and it'll be an okay indicator for that time of year.
Right. One of the big mistakes that I see, and I see it because I've done it plenty of times myself, and I try to learn from it. But like you mentioned, Josh, cutting shooting lanes. You want to take as little as possible with still getting the job done right. I think it's so easy for folks to go in there, and again, I'm guilty of this at times, to cut too big of a shooting lane, then you've created a problem for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next up, man, creating or enhancing natural food sources, and this goes food plots too, but creating those natural browse sources, I think, is overlooked a lot too. Even on farms where deer are surrounded by agricultural, most of the time the vast majority of their diet is still made up of natural browse, and there's a lot of ways to create it, and for time's sake we won't get into all of them, but even just going out and kind of clearing the canopy up a little bit so some sunlight can get in there and penetrate can create some really incredible natural forage and food sources.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, being able to help reset that habitat clock, and as you mentioned, open up a forest canopy. You know, going in and logging if you're the landowner. You know, logging some trees, maybe going in and removing some non-desirables, such as those that don't produce mast for wildlife. Whenever you do stuff like that, early successional habitat, creates much more tonnage of food for wildlife than food plots ever could. So it's definitely a good thing to do if land managers have the opportunity to.
Absolutely. And kind of going along with that, Josh, I also like to, when I'm doing that, I'm always keeping in mind kind of where I'm doing it at. I want to position those along travel corridors or next to staging areas closer to bigger agricultural fields, where a lot of times these bucks will stage in these areas right before last light, before they make that entrance into those big food plots. So doing it with a game plan, I think, is key, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I agree. You know, having those staging areas really is the difference maker between consistently killing big deer with a bow and not. You can consistently kill big deer with a gun during gun season without doing habitat work, without really strategically planning and setting up a property. But if you want to consistently get within bow range and have enough encounters to eventually, slip an arrow through there, you have to have staging areas, and these come in many forms, as we've often talked about.
Right.
But, being able to identify those, or at least see them when they're already existing on the property and taking advantage of those, or creating them if they're not already there, those are, that's the difference maker between being able to consistently shoot a deer with a bow and not. Now, some properties will offer natural staging areas, and then some have to be created. It all depends on the property itself and how it lays out and how the deer use it. But, that's a case-by-case situation.
Absolutely. It's property dependent. And one other thing before we move on to the next one, Josh, I just want to say, creating these transition zones from bedding to staging, or from bedding to these major food sources, I think is something that's overlooked a lot. I'm guilty of it. It's something I pay a lot more attention to. I think transition zones are very much overlooked because, again, that kind of feeds into how early these bucks might get up on their feet. If they have good transitions into these staging areas and into these major agricultural areas, you're liable to see them up on their feet earlier in the day.
Yeah, for sure. And, even if you're just going out and planting food plots, planting what's, a transition strip or a buffer strip, which is a little bit different, but it's a similar concept. When you're planting your food plots, don't go straight from a wall of 50-foot hardwood trees, down to, ankle-high food plot. You want to ease them into that food plot. And one of the ways that you can do that is to create buffer strips around food plot. That way they're easing through different stages of successional habitat instead of going straight from hardwoods down to open field. You can kind of ease them out into that opening with maybe some switchgrass or some Egyptian weed or something that basically eases them into those open areas where you've planted food plots instead of just making them jump out of those hard edges. Deer are edge animals, but whenever it comes to seeing those mature deer in daylight, as you mentioned, it's best to ease them out into the food plots that you plant. And again, one of the ways to do that is to plant those buffer strips.
Absolutely, giving those bucks the illusion of safety there. Josh, what's next for you?
Something I'm going to be doing more of this year, and I've done it a lot in the past, is creating more water holes, and that's something that I've done quite a bit of. It seems like depending on where you plant them or put those at, sometimes they, it also depends on drought and how much rainfall that we had. But I'll plant, small swimming pools that you get at, Walmart or anywhere else. Those 50, 100-gallon water swimming pools that kids, parents oftentimes get for their children.
Yep.
Those work great for deer. Water holes. You can also get the more expensive, heavier duty Rubbermaid tubs that you might find at a TSC or a farm store. But I like putting those in. They've helped me
create really good quality bow stands, putting those in within, 20, 25 yards of bow stands. Has proved pretty effective for me throughout the years. I've killed quite a few deer that I don't think I would have killed without having those water holes. But I'll probably be putting in more of those this summer as well.
Yeah, that was definitely that was one on my list too, Josh. That's definitely a tactic you and I both use a lot. And they don't, like you said, they don't have to be big, beautiful, picturesque water holes. These small, obscure water holes can be magnets, and not just when you would think. It doesn't have to be super hot out for these little water holes to be magnets for deer. Even late in the year, when a lot of your browses died off, they're not getting that moisture content from that. Even late in the year, these small, obscure water holes can be dynamite, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Early season, pre-rut, rut, post-rut, late season, doesn't matter. Deer are going to hit them.
And it also doesn't matter, in my opinion, Josh, it doesn't matter how much water a particular farm that you're hunting has. I don't care if a property backs up to a major lake or has a river that runs through it. That doesn't mean that that's the end-all, be-all. These little small, obscure water holes can really pull deer in, even if your property has some other good water sources available.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Another one on my list here, Josh, and this is another topic that you and I both talk about on the regular on this show, and that's entry and exit routes. And I like to go in, some of the best stands on any given farm, you can't really hunt without kind of blowing everything up. So these entry and exit routes are so important. And in the off season, early summer, I like to, if I've got a new area that I want to try on a farm that I don't have a pre-existing entry and exit, I'll actually go in and sometimes even kind of clear a little path to and from, or go in there and get boots on the ground and figure out what the best entry and exit is, and then do it. So entry and exit, man, I think it's overlooked a lot. I'm guilty of it. Going in and kind of clearing out some areas can be a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a key example of something that we probably no hunter does enough of. We should really clear out good quality, quiet entry and exit routes for every single stand that we have, and all. Generally we don't do that. We might do it for a few that are hard to access, but we should do it for every single stand location, for every single tree that's got a stand hung in it. And, that can be the difference maker, especially if you're hunting close to bedding areas.
Exactly.
Whether or not you step on a twig can be the difference if there's a deer bedded 80 yards away. So that's definitely a key factor.
Absolutely. What's next on your list, buddy?
I mean, when it comes, we're talking a little bit about food plots. Obviously, now is the time to be taking soil samples if you haven't already. Now is the time to be planting those spring food plots if you haven't already. Some things are kind of getting toward the tail end of that planting window. I think, it's still cool enough, still wet enough that, we could get away with a lot of stuff right now unless it just snapped off hot tomorrow. There's still definitely time to get those spring plots in, especially, again, as cool as it's been. As late in the year. This has definitely been, it seems like it's been a much cooler May than we're used to. I don't know how June will be. If it continues on the path that we're currently on, we may be able to continue planting those spring plots a little bit later than we typically do. But, even if you aren't planting spring food plots and you only plant fall food plots around that August, early September time frame, it doesn't hurt to go ahead and start clearing those fall food plots. Obviously you're not going to go in there and probably not going to go in there and disc them up unless you want to go in there and disc them up twice. But it doesn't hurt to go in and get those plots ready, get them prepped. You don't want to spray them right now, but you might want to go in and disc them now and then spray them again later this summer and then disc them a second time. But it never hurts to get those fall plots ready and prepped as well.
Yep, man, great stuff there, Josh. Another thing I will say, too, is now's the time to get that bow out and practice and break in those new boots. Shoot your bow with some gloves on or a face mask if that's how you hunt. Replicate the way in which you hunt. Now's the time to do all that. And if you find a deficient area in your gear, and say you've got a list of some things that you want to buy between now and deer season opening, whether it be stands or new arrows or new broadheads, now's the time to do that, or at least start saving for that so you don't have that big expense right there at the end. Your wife will thank you for that if she's listening. But it's a good time to kind of think ahead in that regard. Is that something you do, Josh?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to space it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Start saving now, or start buying a few things, every couple weeks, so you don't have that big expense there at the end. Not a bad way to go. What else? What else you got, man?
Something that you can do. We talked about taking inventory, which that involves trail cameras as well as in the field, glassing. But prepping those trail cameras, that takes a lot of time. If you run a lot of cameras, it takes money too. Batteries aren't cheap,
yep.
So I personally run about 30 to 35 cameras a year. That's what I generally do. And just getting those cameras ready to go takes some time. You've got to go through, this is the off season. It's the time of year that you want to get those cameras cleaned up. If they got dirt and grimy stuff on them, clean them out. Use a damp cloth or damp paper towels to clean them. You want to get all the, any kind of corrosion that might be in there out of them, because that will kill cameras almost as fast as anything. Corrosion will kill them as quickly as water damage will. So, or oftentimes will. But get those cameras ready. Something that I personally like to do now, and I'm not telling anybody else to do it, but something that I like to do is put those silica gel packs that you often find in products that
yep.
that they try to keep moisture off of and away from. It doesn't hurt to put a silica gel packet in those. Especially during the off season, to keep the moisture out of them or to draw what moisture is in them out. During the off season, if they have gotten wet, you can throw it, pull the batteries out, throw some silica gel packets in there, and it'll pull any kind of moisture out of those cameras that might have gotten inside the unit.
Yeah, man, that's a great tip there, Josh. And something else, and something I don't always have time to do, but I try to make the time to do it, is before I put a trail camera out again this time of year for the first time in several months, I like to run it for a day or two around the house and make sure it's capturing pictures. Nothing worse than setting a trail camera out in an area that you have high hopes for, just to come back a month later to realize that it was never working.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely want to test those cameras. That's happened to me. I couldn't tell you how many times as well.
Right.
And it's frustrating, especially whenever, you've expected a big deer to be in that area, or if you were sitting there glassing and watch the deer walk in front of the camera and then come back and realize you don't have any photos of it. That can be tough. Especially, the worst part of it is whenever you're on a deer and the deer's there.
Oh, yeah.
And you're relying on that intel to help establish a game plan for that opening weekend, and then realize you don't have that information or that intel because that camera wasn't working properly.
That's a tough pill to swallow. I think, Josh, you and I both kind of ran into that last year. It's tough, like you said, especially when you're on a deer, and there's a risk and reward when you're on a deer and you're kind of going in and putting a trail camera tight to his little core area there, or even tight to his bedding, say, for example. That's a tough pill to swallow, to go in there and take the risk to do that with no payoff. The camera never worked to begin with. That's a tough pill to swallow, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Long-distance glassing, man, this is something I'm really big on, and it's especially true for folks that are hunting these agricultural areas, which a lot of us are here in South Central Kentucky. But long-distance glassing is huge for me. It's a great way to get a lot of intel. It's a great way to scout without making an impact. If you're bumping deer, but while long-distance glassing, you're doing it wrong. You're too tight. You got to back away. That's one of the beauties of long-distance glassing, is there's no really risk in doing any harm. And I'll say, too, not only is it great those last 30 days kind of leading up to the opening of bow season in September to really get a good pattern on what the bucks are doing while they're in this summer feeding pattern. They're predictable. But it's also a great way to watch these deer interact with each other and learn their personalities, learn the ins and outs of what makes them tick. And that's just going to help stack the odds in your favor, give you an advantage when it comes time to formulate a game plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Long-distance glassing, that's something you and I both did quite a bit together last year and had some success. Got to watch a couple of really good bucks on one of your properties. I know that's something that you do on the regular, isn't it, Josh?
Yeah, it's I like all the tech that we have available to us today, and I wouldn't trade my trail cameras for anything.
but I like the old school stuff as well. And, you can cover way more ground with your eyes than your cameras can. Cameras can be there when you can't, and cameras are invaluable in their own way, but so is long-distance scouting. It's invaluable in its own way. And really the best approach, the best scouting approach is a three-pronged deal. In the field scouting during the off-season, after the season closes, then putting out your trail cameras in the early summer to establish, as much information there as possible. But the third prong is definitely glassing from afar, and it ties everything together. Those three pieces of the puzzle are all very, very important when it comes to trying to pin down a mature deer, or just kill any deer. If you're wanting to scout, the Native Americans, they weren't really was worried about killing big deer, I don't think, as a lot of hunters today, but they still scouted.
Yep.
And if they had trail cameras and binoculars, I'm sure they'd use them, but I'm sure that they glassed from afar just without the optics.
Right.
But those are those three things are key whenever it comes to putting together as much information as possible.
Man, good stuff. You got anything else you want to add, Josh?
Now is a great time to set property-specific goals. Not every hunter out there hunts multiple properties, but a lot of them do. Most of our local deer hunters here, they hunt at least 2 or 3 places. They at least have a couple spots that they like to go. And we've talked about a lot of stuff here, and the best way to actually make yourself get all this stuff done is to open up a notebook or pop open your iPhone or unlock your iPhone and put all these things that you need to get done on paper or on your screen and check them off one at a time throughout the summer and get them done, because I'm looking at my to-do list, and there's a whole lot of stuff to do with very few checks on it right now.
Yeah.
But now's the time to start working on it.
Man, absolutely. Great stuff, Josh. Always a pleasure to get to chew the fat with you about hunting, buddy.
Yeah, likewise.
Josh Honeycutt, man, appreciate you here. Love having you on the Line X hotline, even though we got this pandemic. We've been able to stick it out, man, and get the word out to the hunters and fishermen out there, and we couldn't do it without you, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Josh.
Stick around. We're going to come right back for final thoughts here on SOKY's Great Outdoors, ESPN 102.7.
Can you hear the hunt? You will with Tetra. Designed by hearing doctors and avid hunters, Tetra offers premium hearing enhancement and protection. Programmed for your specific hearing loss. Endpoint turkeys gobbling, the big buck slipping behind you, or protect your ears in the duck blind. If you want your edge back, try Tetra risk-free for 30 days. Call now and mention SportsWeb and receive $100 off your order. 615-618-9904 or anytime at TetraHunt.com. Tetra isn't just hearing protection, it's hearing perfection.
Wash your hands, stay home, cover your cough. It's our new reality with COVID-19. Physicians and public health professionals are trying to protect us because our healthcare system would be overwhelmed if too many people get seriously ill. We have to take their advice seriously. So, prepare, focus on the essentials. Protect, keep some space from people outside your home. And disinfect a lot. Get the facts at kycovid19.ky.gov. Prepare, protect, disinfect.
Okay, gun owners, listen up. You love to shoot, so you have to check out Tetra. Don't settle for big, hot, uncomfortable earmuffs or foam plugs. Developed by 2 hearing doctors, Tetra Alpha Shield is the best sounding, most comfortable, and easiest to use, period. Tetra is more than a hearing protection, it's hearing perfection. Get your edge back, try Tetra risk-free for 30 days. Call now and mention SportsWeb and receive $100 off your order. 615-618-9904 or anytime at TetraHunt.com.
When Poston Electronics opened in Bowling Green back in 1974, it sounded more like this.
Turn it up, man!
Now Poston is as legendary as the artists Southern Kentuckians hummed through the speakers they've bought there for the last 45 years. Poston is everything audio with top brands like JP Audio and Alpine. From home theaters, boats, motorcycles, side-by-sides, custom work, installation, service, or sales, Poston still has the sound. Turn it up, man. Poston Electronics, across from Firestone on Broadway Avenue.
I am Southern Kentucky Great Outdoors. I am your Spirit of the Wild brother. God bless America. God bless Kentucky. God bless working hard, playing hard American families in the asset column. We are blood brothers.
Yeah, Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors, ESPN Radio, 102.7 here in Bowling Green, 104 Score up in Glasgow. Hey, I want to send a shout-out to our sponsors. First of all, John, I want to say happy birthday to Justin Borden, senior at Warren Central. Great athlete, track and field guy, football player, great kid, great family. Happy birthday to him, and many more to come for you. I wanted to touch on the sponsors. We had a few minutes here before the show, John, and we'll start with our two title sponsors. We have two presenting sponsors of the show, and they help make this show happen along with all the other ones, but these guys put in a big part of this to get it rolling. Bowling Green Refrigeration, Heating and Cooling, HVAC company that's been in business for about 27 years. I mean, they're just the best at it, John, and it's good to have their backing, and call them. If you get in a situation where you need them, let those guys come out. They'll do one heck of a job. Very technically sound company. They do it right the first time. Other one, Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center. You hear about them all the time on the show. They get the fishing segment as well. They also, John, they also take care of our Fishing for Mentors, which is coming up in September, man. I'm looking forward to that.
Looking forward to that. And both Renegade and Bowling Green Refrigeration been with us for a long time, haven't they?
Yes, long time.
Yeah.
Day one. That's good stuff. Our new sponsor, Tetra Hunt, hearing devices, man. I can't wait till you get yours and get out in the woods and experience it so you can give us some good feedback, and that'll be coming soon. Line X to Bowling Green, man. Line X Hotline. They're on all my shows. All my interviews are via the Line X Hotline. I like saying that.
Yeah, it's got a good ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they do a lot of good things.
And they've been with us for a long time, too, hadn't they? And their demographic is our demographic in a lot of ways. Hunters need to protect those truck beds.
Absolutely, brother. Couldn't have said it better myself. J&K Used Cars, Big Johnny and Jimmy and Robert, we love them over there.
Great people, absolutely.
You're not going to go wrong picking up a good vehicle from good people.
And they always have a
Clean,
diverse selection of vehicles. Whether you're after a truck, SUV, car, they've got it all, and really nice ones.
Well said, my friend. Talking about a couple of our, we love them very much. Big and J Long Range Attractants, man. Josh Kinzer, Jeremy Atkins, great guys, great company. Swagger Bipod is their sister company.
Yeah,
another great. You've done a great job explaining Swagger over the years, and it's just, it's good to have that in any walk of life. To have a good bipod like that.
Well, when you have to talk about a company that makes a great product, it makes it easy, right? It's a product that I'd be using anyway, both Swagger and Big and J. Something that I used before we had any affiliation with them, right? And come to find out, just like all of our other sponsors, Big and J, that company is made up of a lot of fantastic individuals that do a lot of great things, not only for their communities, but the hunting community as well.
Absolutely. Gary Force Paint and Body Shop, Vanderbilt Drive, right there behind the big post office on Scottsville Road, man. You get her dinged up, you won't even know you had a wreck after you go see them.
Exactly. Well, I don't know. I could put them to the test. I've run into a few things over the years. But absolutely, man.
John will make them go through the gamut, baby.
Knock on wood, I haven't had a fender bender in probably 15 years,
I'm knocking
buddy.
on wood, too. 92 was my last accident.
Pretty awesome.
And that one almost took me out.
We better really knock on some wood.
Yeah,
on the
watch
way
us
out
both
here,
on the way home. We'll be on the Joe Emmel page before we get home.
Let's hope not.
Oh, my gosh. Appreciate Gary Force Paint and Body. They've been with us for a pretty good while, too.
Yep.
And we appreciate them very much. And
another great group of people.
Oh, great people, man. I grew up with them. Love that family very, very much. And, our two sub-sponsors that are just a great caveats to have, MohawkOutdoors.com. Get on Mohawk. Support that organization. J.D. Williams, our good buddy. And Timber to Table, man. Real Tree Outdoors, Michael Penley. Love having those guys on the show. Penley, this show would not be the same without Penley.
Man, I couldn't agree more. Michael Penley is just a fantastic individual. And he lives, what he writes about and blogs about, he lives that every day. That's not something he just does because it's work. He'd be doing that anyway, and he's the best at it. So, yeah, we're blessed to have him.
Man, that's absolutely right. And he's kind of like, he reminds me of Jeremiah Johnson a little bit. He's like a real Jeremiah Johnson.
And he's bringing his, another thing I love about him, another of the many things I love about him is he's bringing his family up into respect the outdoors and teaching them how to cook and be stewards of the land. All those things that you want kids to learn, he's teaching them.
I can't add to that, man. It was perfectly said. Folks, thanks for listening to us. We're going to come to a close, but we got some word today. One of our guys here locally using the aerosol Big and J killed him, scored a 185. I don't know the rest of it, John, but really big velvet buck.
185,
using the aerosol.
That's 185 speaks for itself. You don't have to say much. That's a monster. That goes in the all-time Boone and Crockett record book, and that's a once in a couple of lifetime deer right there.
Thanks for listening to SOKY's Great Outdoors. For John Kirby, Josh Honeycutt, Brian Webb, and thanks to Casey Warner on the board, baby. See you next Wednesday.